For years now, the establishment wanted you to believe that Alberta's independence movement was nothing but fringe. They wanted you to think it's just a handful of radicals shouting into the void, nothing to ultimately see there. And yet, this week, something earth-shattering happened in Calgary that imploded that narrative completely. What you're about to see is exactly why Ottawa is losing sleep tonight. Because the numbers coming out of Alberta right now tell a story that the legacy media absolutely does not want you to hear. A story about a movement that was never fringe, but mainstream. A movement that's not dying, but accelerating. A story about a province that's had enough. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot professor, celebrating yet another glorious day in Trump's golden age that you made possible back in November 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, click on that link below and get my Patriot Alerts, my free uncensored newsletter where I share the stories I can't cover on YouTube. You can subscribe free by simply clicking the Patriot Alerts link in the description below. Feast your eyes on this. 3,000 Albertans packed into the Big Four Roadhouse at Calgary's Stampede Park, with another 1,000 streaming online, not to protest, but simply to demand their future back. Every seat filled, crowds spilling outside, energy electric, all there for one purpose: to launch the campaign that could end Canada as we know it. On Monday, the Alberta Prosperity Project, led by CEO Mitch Sylvester and General Counsel Jeffrey Rath, hosted this massive independence rally where speakers laid out the case for why Alberta can no longer afford to stay in a federation that takes $13 billion in equalization payments from Albertan taxpayers while regulating their energy sector into oblivion with carbon taxes and pipeline cancellations. But the real action was outside, where over 2,000 Albertans stood in line in the cold to sign a citizen-initiated referendum petition that, if it reaches 178,000 verified signatures by May 2nd, will force a province-wide vote on independence. So let's talk data here, because this is where the legacy media's lies fall apart. Legacy outlets like the CBC, the Global News, they're rushing to publish polls claiming only about 19, maybe some will go as high as 29% of Albertans support independence. In other words, they want you to believe this movement is either fringe or it's dying. But here's what they won't tell you. The Western Standard, which is an independent outlet that takes $0 from the Liberal government, they conducted their own polling, and they found support for independence at 45%. So not 19, not 29, 45% of Albertans would vote yes for independence right now. That ain't fringe, okay? That's absolutely winnable. And it's precisely what almost happened back in 1995 when Quebec came within 1 percentage point of seceding from the Confederation. At the start of that referendum, early September, or that campaign, I should say, early September polls showed that the yes side was trailing by 7 to 8 percentage points. It was around 30% support. The media and federal government dismissed as, these are just a bunch of Quebec radicals. They'd never come close to winning. Then the campaign officially started. By referendum day on October 30th, 1995, the vote was 49.42% yes to 50.58% no. It was a margin of just 54,000 votes out of nearly 5 million cast. Quebec came within half a percentage point of leaving Canada, and it shocked the entire country. But what's even more shocking is that Alberta is tracking the exact same trajectory. Government-backed media polls are trying to depress enthusiasm by claiming support has actually dropped from 35 or 37% a few months ago to now just under 30%. But then came those lines that stretched out all over the province, lines of Albertan residents fed up with the liberal policies of Ottawa and signing their names to a petition that will force an independence referendum just like Quebec's. And here's the kicker. The latest Ipsos poll that just came out found that 28% of Albertans would vote for independence, exactly matching Quebec's support at the equivalent stage of their referendum. But when Ipsos dug deeper, they found 16% were hardcore, committed separatists who vote, yes, we want to leave no matter the economic cost, no matter what. Another 25% were conditional. They'll vote yes, depending on the terms and how things work out. That's 41% who are seriously considering it. We're not talking about internet trolls. We're talking about nearly 1 million real Albertans right now ready to go in some way, shape, or form out of 5 million. They are sick and tired of Ottawa draining Alberta's wealth through equalization payments and burdensome environmental regulations. But there's a bigger economic storm brewing that affects every Canadian, every American, especially retirees and savers. On December 1st, the Federal Reserve quietly stopped pulling money out of the system. Now, that sounds technical, but the real world impact is already hitting your wallet. When money floods back in, prices rise fast, and you're already feeling it, right? Grocery bills are higher, travel costs are climbing, healthcare premiums keep jumping. Every time the dollar weakens, your savings erode in real time. We've seen this pattern before in 2008, 2018, 2020. Those who moved early to protect their buying power came out ahead. Those who waited ended up chasing rising prices. Meanwhile, look at what the biggest players are doing. Central banks all over the world are buying up gold at record levels, positioning before inflation hits everyday life. That's why thousands of Canadians and Americans are shifting part of their savings into physical gold and silver inside self-directed IRAs, not to gamble, but to defend what they've earned. My friends at Augusta Precious Metals put together a short guide called the Liquidity Reversal Report that explains what the Fed just changed, why it threatens your savings, and how people are staying ahead of it. Go to turleybuysgold.com or text Turley to 35052 to get instant access. Don't wait. Every month you delay, your dollars buy less. I'm telling you, get this report and see why thousands of Americans just like you are protecting part of their retirement with physical gold. Go to turleybuysgold.com or text Turley to 35052 and learn how to get up to 10 years of your gold IRA fees paid. Click on that link below right now. Now, if you thought that these polls were keeping the Carney administration up at night, check this one out. It's an online poll, but it's certainly not good news for Governor Carney, as Trump likes to call him. This poll asks, who would you prefer to lead Canada? Trump wins by almost 2-1, 62-38. Even Canadians are done with Carney. And that's similar to what an X poll showed when Carney was matched up with conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. Poilievre crushed him 68-32. Something does appear to be happening in Canada. There does seem to be a very significant populist-inspired backlash against the Carney government in both polls and provincial elections. Even Alberta's most famous country music star, Paul Brandt, he sparked a bit of a firestorm a few days back when he posted a photo on X showing himself walking down a highway with lyrics from his iconic 2004 song Alberta Bound superimposed, most particularly the line, "I've got independence in my veins," in bold letters. Now, when reporters pressed him on, hey, are you one of these supporters of independence? Brandt refused to answer directly. He said, you're not going to get a yes or a no from me. But he also acknowledged, absolutely legitimate grievances that Albertans have with Ottawa. And I think that calculated ambiguity shows you just this movement has gone fully mainstream. The grievances are real, and they're piling up. Equalization payments, which if you don't know, they're basically subsidies for the other provinces. In 2024 to 2025, Quebec received, get this, $13.3 billion in federal transfer payments, while Alberta and Saskatchewan received zero. Goose egg. Nada. Nothing. Albertans are funding the rest of Canada while Ottawa regulates their energy sector into the ground with carbon taxes, pipeline cancellations, and emission caps. And the key here is that this isn't just economic frustration. It's existential. Albertans feel like they're in an abusive partnership with Ottawa, and their very way of life is at risk. So that's why Alberta's independence movement isn't dying, it's accelerating. And if history repeats, if this movement follows Quebec's 1995 trajectory, then Ottawa has every reason to be terrified. Because once that referendum campaign officially starts, once Albertans start debating the future in every coffee shop and living room across the province, those poll numbers are going to shift. Those tens of thousands standing in line, they'll be but the tip of the spear. And Canada, as we know it, could be over. That rally on Monday wasn't a protest. It was a declaration. Thousands of Albertans, young and old, standing together and saying, we want control of our own future. The media can ignore it. Ottawa can dismiss it. But the numbers don't lie. Alberta is awake, and this time, they're not backing down.